playing dolls today, loved it. Yes, that's the thing. If we allow children, if we give children permissions to do to engage in play that isn't gender specific, particularly, there's lots to say about various other aspects of play, but I think gender is a really important one. And awareness and honesty are key here. As child practitioners, we need to be in constant inquiry with ourselves, with our beliefs, our thoughts, our judgments, our actions, because everything we say to and everything we do with children can really stick with them and can dictate the future of society. Play dictates the future of society. Play, children reenact those stereotypes, and most of that comes from home, and it's difficult to see it happening in the play space, actually. So in terms of gender, and I will come back to the presentation. Actually stop that chat. So in terms of gender, we need to be as open and non-judgmental as possible. There are no such things as boy girls and toy girls. There's boy toys and girl toys. There's just toys, and we should allow children to engage with all of it. There are certain differences in gender preferences around play, and that's undeniable, and that's part and parcel of difference in genders, and that's okay. But there's a difference between allowing children to play with whatever they want and giving children specific things to play with based on their gender. So I would say we could go as far as even gently, kindly challenging gender stereotypes that are displayed by children in their play. That needs to be done as a sensitive group discussion, so not targeted intervention with one child. It can really be a rich learning opportunity if we put children together and start to discuss about, there's such things as boys' toys and girls' toys. Why can't we all play with them? And actually, children have a strong sense of fairness. And I have a colleague who's doing a PhD in gender play and boys' toys and girls' toys. And she's come to the conclusion that girls and boys alike, and any other types of genders, have a strong sense of fairness when it comes to the different opportunities they can have that are dictated by gender. So it's a great learning opportunity if we tackle those issues in play. But I just thought it's worth mentioning. We won't go into more detail about it, but it's worth thinking about what are our own thoughts around this, biases, things that we are just transmitting to children without even thinking. Okay, we're running a little bit.
Yeah. I see there's a hand that's raised. I don't know if it's an old hand or a new hand.
I think it might be an old hand. Is that right, Sammy?
Okay, we could just move on, and if there's
Sorry about that.
Other.
No worries, thank you. Okay. Yes, we will move on because we're running about 5 minutes late. So this is our final stop, play versus play-based learning. And again, this is a topic in itself. Everything we've discussed today could be taken apart and have a whole session on it independently. But this is extremely relevant, and it needed to feature in this session because there is a difference between the two. So play is, like you've all identified, most of you identified, all about freedom and not necessarily having an outcome or a goal. However, play-based learning can somewhat take away from that freedom, and most certainly has an outcome, that being learning something. As preschool teachers, of course, you will hopefully be adopting play-based learning, ideally child-led, because that's a much more effective way of promoting a lifelong love of learning. So play-based learning means that it's very much play, but adults are guiding it a bit more. There will be themes, there will be maybe prompts, actions, or behaviors from your part that are purposefully employed to encourage learning. So the two concepts are quite different. However, they can complement each other, of course, especially if there's a good balance of both. And for me, as a play and play work practitioner, the balance would be perfect if it involved more play than play-based learning, especially if the latter is not child-led, because children learn so much more and so much better if it's on their own terms. I'd like to introduce what I mean by child-led learning through a couple of videos. I'd usually leave you to watch longer videos in your own time, but I think there's value in watching some of this now and having a group discussion about it, because it's something that will help your practice if you can employ some of this. So hopefully people can stay on for another 5 minutes. So a few years ago, I came across some videos from an English international preschool, what we would call nursery here in the UK, in Dubai, and their practice exemplified child-led learning very well in the early years education context. There are 3 videos that illustrate their practice, and for now, I'd like you to watch part 1. So I'll just put the link in the chat. Part 1, but please start at 1 minute. So just skip the first minute. It's just an introduction that we don't need. And after that, I will give you the next step, which is the second video. So works out about 4 minutes. Here it is. Skip to 1 minute into the video.